Welcome
back.
And we are back. Listen, it's the Free Gems Podcast.
Episode 30.
Episode 30. We have an illustrious and special guest here. To our left, we have Chondra Young. Please tell the people where you're from and what you got going on, because we're actually super excited to get it here.
Very, very excited. Very excited.
Okay, my name is Chondra Young, and I'm running for town council here in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alumni, baby. Yes, Teaneck.
So we think this episode is super important just because we always touch on local leadership and how important it is, man. So to finally have somebody that can represent that and give us that perspective, it's a beautiful thing. So we want to say thank you. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for coming. Yes. We're so excited.
Coming out, especially on a Sunday. I know it's on like family day, people doing things. So like I said, it's we really appreciate you coming out.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
No, thank you, God. Thank you so much. What about a little bit about your background, growing up and everything?
Okay, a little bit about my background. I am born and raised in Inglewood.
Nice.
Shout out to Inglewood, New Jersey, Bergen County, our neighbors.
That's my mother's from.
Yeah.
I moved to Teaneck in 11th grade, but they allowed me to continue at Dwight Morrow. So I graduated from Dwight Morrow, even though I lived in Teaneck.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, that's crazy. A lot of times I know that's a problem.
Currently now, you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm about to say now it's like.
They want address. They verify address. Even with my children, they went through the Teaneck public school system. I had a couple of people knock on my doors just to verify address.
Wow.
Throughout the years that they were there. Al Shorts, R.I.P. Al Shorts. He used to knock on my door. That's how him and I got so familiar. And he was like making sure, this is your address? Because that's how Teaneck is.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, it's a fond memory of mine. I remember that actually happened to me when I first moved from New York to Teaneck, and I didn't understand what it was about. And my dad briefly had touched on it. He was like, yeah, just checking to verify the address. I was like, what? I was so confused. I was like, whatever. I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like 7 years old, 8 years old.
But you never,
I didn't even think about it.
That's
what they were doing.
Thing.
Yeah,
that's a
they're
big
definitely
thing
checking.
People use other addresses, and sometimes they get caught and they have to pay the district back.
Yeah. But for people who don't know, the public school, listen, if you live in a town, you're paying the taxes to go to that public school for free. Right. So if you go to a different town, your parents aren't paying for that town's taxes. That's where the problem is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you grew up in Inglewood till 11th grade. You went to Teaneck.
Went to Teaneck. Graduated 1991.
1991?
Nice. Yeah.
I thought you was about 28. You would have told me. That's crazy. Listen, man, that's a blessing.
That's a blessing.
Beautifully.
And I'm gonna tell a little bit about myself, but it was an interesting time that I got to Teaneck, because I got to Teaneck and I got to Teaneck during a very contentious time.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Actually, you just told us. So 1991, hold on. Wait. So
I got there in 1990.
Right. So I just thought about it. You were in the prime of your teenage years when the Philip Purnell situation happened, which we just touched on last episode.
And it was interesting because I was at Dwight Morrow, so I was familiar with Teaneck. I was familiar with a lot of the Teaneck, my friends, Philip Purnell.
Wow.
You were his
Bernard.
age.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait,
wow.
we were. And that's crazy.
Wow.
Wait, all right. So can we talk about that a little? Because
people don't understand.
There's a lot of history in Bergen County.
It's a little bit of a touchy situation.
Oh, for sure.
It's a little hard because at that time we all were friends. We all kind of hung out together, things like that. So it's just a little touchy. But I knew him because I was growing up in Inglewood, and it was.
Yeah, Teaneck, Inglewood, Hackensack, we're all neighbors. We all know each other.
And it was a lot of camaraderie as far as contentious situations. So you knew who was from Teaneck. You knew who was from Inglewood.
That's how it is. Yeah, that's how it is now.
Who was amongst the, So when I got to Teaneck, it was different.
Right.
It was different. When I got there, it was, like I said, at the height of everything going on.
Right. So you saw the marching, you saw everything.
I lived on Forest Ave in Arlington.
Yeah, I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah.
So I was right there from Teaneck Road, one block down, and it got a little bit crazy. My parents, of course, dragged me out the house to go see what was going going on, and I was like, I don't want no parts of this. But
they actually have a special that came out, MSNBC.
Yes.
It literally just came out.
That was 1991. Now imagine 30 years later, this would have happened during the social media era. How crazy Teaneck would have been, Inglewood would have been. It would have been way crazier.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
The way the timeline lines
and for those who don't know, Philip Purnell was a young man that was murdered by the police. An unarmed young black man that was murdered, unfortunately in Teaneck, our hometown. And it was, like I said, it's a touchy situation, but it has a lot to do with the history of Teaneck and Bergen County.
Yeah.
So let's touch on this. So growing up out here at around that time, let's say the 90s, you were in your teenage years. How was the diversity in the demographic? Was it as diverse as it is now?
It was not.
It wasn't.
Okay, so let me start with Inglewood. So Inglewood, you knew where to go and where not to go.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
To this day,
Yeah,
it's like
the railroad tracks, you do not cross the tracks.
Right, you make the wrong turn in Inglewood, you'd be like, didn't I just pass Starbucks? Like, how did I get here?
Right. So growing up, you knew not to cross the tracks. You go down Palisade Ave, you go as far as you can go, and you come back. You do not cross the tracks. And that's just the way it was.
Yeah, that was just law down there.
And that's the way it was. You didn't, as a child, I didn't really realize or understand why.
Yeah.
I just knew not to.
Yes.
I just knew not to. Even coming to Teaneck, I didn't see the diversity or the non-diversity because as a child, you're kind of taught. To me, I think you're taught these things as far as racism and so as a child, I didn't see it. I didn't, I know what I was taught. I know what I was told not to do, but I didn't ask questions.
Right.
So going to Teaneck, you didn't ask questions. I saw people that looked like me, talk like me, walk like me, but I didn't see the diversity in Teaneck that we're championing now.
Yeah.
Because where I grew up, it was predominantly Black, Hispanic, and I didn't quite see the other races.
Yeah.
So when I got to Teaneck, I didn't know that they had a railroad track too.
Yeah. different kind of railroad track.
Yeah, low key.
So it was, you don't cross those railroad tracks. And when I did, I saw a different side of the community.
Yeah.
I say the same thing. There's part because there's like this part that they call Hebrew Hills, and then I know that's like the what's the Orthodox Jews, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Orthodox Jewish section, and it's like these giant mansions that I couldn't even fathom when I first drove over there. And I became I actually was obsessed with going over there. I would just ride my bike over there.
Yeah.
So that's why I said I never saw it until I decided to venture out and walk around and look and ride my bike over there. And I'm like, wow, this is different.
Yeah, this is real?
Yeah, this is not like, is this still Teaneck?
Yeah.
I was like,
car garages, 4-car garages. It's insane.
It was different. Yeah. And that's how I grew up. So I grew up on Forest and Arlington and predominantly around my community, and that's what I know. Okay,
so let's go from high school. You graduated. Where did you go for higher education as far as college?
Interesting. So my parents, I grew up in a single family home. My dad was around, but they weren't together at the time. So I kind of grew up in a single family home, and my dad wasn't around. I moved from Robinson Street because he was on Robinson Street.
I know Robinson.
And then I was on the corner of Forest and Arlington. So I know that area very well. Yeah. And from there, I decided I wanted to do college. My mom was the only one that graduated from college. She went to Bergen Community.
Shout out to mom.
Shout out to moms.
She went to Bergen Community. So she did 2 years. And that was as far as my family knew about college. That was as much as they knew. Yeah. She came here from the South. And a lot of people from the South went to Inglewood.
Yeah.
A lot of my family is in Inglewood that came from the South. So we that's the most we knew.
What part of the South? You don't mind me?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Florence, Lake City, Columbia.
Okay, Columbia.
Scranton.
Okay, that's
you still have family there?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, I still have family there. So my thing was I wanted to go to college.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to college. My parents didn't know too much about it. I wanted to go to a 4-year school. So my thing was I applied to one school only.
Which was?
I applied to Hampton University.
Okay. Shout out to Hampton. I hate you. You didn't go? Oh, I went to Hampton for like 3 days, like as a visit, like just playing around. But Hampton was a great experience. You should have went.
I applied to one school. I wanted to go there, and I had no idea you had to pay.
Oh, wait. You thought if I get accepted, I'm in there?
If I get accepted, I'm in there. And my mom thought the same thing. And she's like, we can't afford that. You can't go there.
Yeah, that's the harsh reality.
And it was kind of late in the game. And I'm like, well, what do I do? What do I do? Do I apply somewhere else? Do I sit home? What do I do? So at the last minute, we applied to Montclair State.
Nice. Okay. Shout out to Montclair State.
I think they're Montclair University now.
Yeah. Isn't it Montclair State University? I thought it was all three. MSU?
It might be.
It might be.
It might be. A lot of schools changed over time. Remember, I'm a little older.
Just a little bit.
So I applied to Montclair. I got accepted to Montclair, and I thought it was a great thing. I was going for art.
Oh, okay.
I was going to be an art major.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay.
Art major.
That's giving us some depth because the end of where you are now, you started off with
totally
art?
different.
Okay.
Totally different.
Very well rounded.
Yeah.
Very well rounded.
When I got there, my mom said, pump the brakes, we're not doing art.
Oh, we'll cut that up. Ain't no money in this.
You can do that for fun.
Right,
you can do
right.
that as a side hustle, but as a career, I don't see where it's going. I know, Chondra, I don't know what this is. We got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll do accounting. I don't know. I love math. That's what she did. She was an accountant.
Okay.
She was a CPA.
CPA?
Yeah. So I said, okay, I'll do accounting. I'm good at math. I don't know too much about it, but I guess I can earn a living with that. But I'm still going to do art.
Yeah.
So I went for accounting, and I went to Montclair. Interesting, you said you went to Hampton for 3 days. I went to Montclair for 3 days.
Wait, so you didn't even end up actually going graduating through Montclair? Oh my God!
Because
sounds like school wasn't for you at the time.
At that age, I was commuting.
Yeah.
I was commuting.
That's not
I was
fun.
sharing a car with my mom. She was going to work. I was working in Mawa. I had 2 jobs.
You might as well have just went to BCC.
Yeah, I had 2 jobs. I was doing accounting at a part-time job at accounting at one place, and then I was working at Dollar America at another place at night.
Listen,
so it was tough.
And sharing
and sharing the car with my mom. So I didn't like that experience. A lot of my friends were going to Atlanta. A lot of my friends were going
living
away.
their best life.
Exactly. So I said, what did I do wrong?
And you over here
What's going on
in 20
here?
different directions.
So I spoke to my mom and I said, I need to be on campus. I know we have limited resources, limited funds. What can we do? Right. And so we applied to Stockton College. They are Stockton University now. This is in South Jersey.
Stockton University.
Okay.
And it's down by Atlantic City. And that's where I graduated from.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Stockton.
And
It's right in
going,
Atlantic City, right?
Yeah,
Yep, I know where it's at.
So I wind up going there. And it was a really good experience because Atlantic City, Pleasantville area was a bit rough.
I was going to say, they always put the colleges in the hood for some reason.
Listen.
It was.
Atlantic City's known for the boardwalk,
but you know
but it's
what?
the hood.
It brought a lot out of me. It brought the community service out of me.
That's
because
wonderful.
That's where I got my drive to help the
Yes.
community because I saw what was going on in Atlantic City. I saw what was going on in Pleasantville. I worked at the Boys and Girls Club.
Wow.
I did accounting there, and I started out community service. It wasn't it wasn't a paid job. They asked me to do the books, and from doing the books, I went to volunteering with the kids.
Wow.
I started playing basketball with them. I'm an athlete, so I did track in school.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so I started playing basketball with them, doing track, doing things that they like to do. So I realized community service is what I love.
It was very organic. Very organic.
When I went on your Instagram, that's the one thing I noticed. I'm like, it's all philanthropy.
Yes.
It's all you just going out to the communities and helping people. And my brother was just doing something similar where he just had a campaign in New York for state senate. And I was just telling Kamal, like, listen, man, the effort, the commitment, the time that people take to do this, it's not a facade. They're not just doing it, running around just trying to shake hands and kiss babies to look good on camera. I'm like, this is real. You have to have a passion for this, or else this is it.
That's why I always say
it'll chew you up and get you
we'll
going.
get farther into it, but I always say to this day, elect an activist.
Yes.
Someone that is passionate, someone that's an advocate. That's who you want your politicians to be.
Yeah, definitely a gem.
Because it's genuine. It's genuine.
Yeah.
It starts from there as opposed to it starting from the outside of being a politician
and then
weaving
your way in
and trying to do community service.
It's so important. We touch on so many things so fast because I don't want to just brush past the fact that you said you were going to school, you were commuting, had 2 jobs, you were doing all this in your teenage years, early 20s.
Still trying to figure it out.
And there's a lot of people out here that might be listening to this that are going that same phase. They think it's like what you said. What did I do wrong?
What am I?
You know what I'm saying? But they're still in the middle of their journey. We're always on our journey. So it's never wrong to just stop, pivot, and go to a different school. You ended up at Stockton, or in Atlantic City, and found something you were passionate about.
Yes.
And maybe if you never went down to Stockton, you would never.
You know what? That is true because to this day, and I'll tell you a little bit more because both of my daughters graduated from Hampton University.
Okay, that's going to be an example. That's beautiful.
One graduated and one is there as a freshman. So,
okay, that's what's up. Yeah.
So Hampton has always
Shout out to
been
Hampton.
There. Yeah,
I got a lot of love for Hampton.
Yeah, so when I went to Stockton, I got my accounting degree. I pledged Delta.
Oh, Delta. Touch on this too.
Okay.
Because I saw the fraternity and sorority things you had going on. I'm like, I want to touch on that.
Which is a little bit more of when I realized that's where I'm going to find where my community service is going to be.
Yes.
That's where my passion is going to be. I have a bunch of sisters and brothers. My dad has several other children, but I didn't grow up with them in the household. So I kind of grew up as a single
Kids?
Single household.
Yeah, single household, only child. That's how I grew up. I knew of my sisters and brothers. We kind of communicated here and there, but I didn't grow up with them in the house.
Okay.
So that was another reason why I latched on to Deltas.
Yes, that sisterhood. Yes.
The sisterhood.
I get it.
I needed a connection. I needed a family. And the family that I needed was all about community service. And what better family to join was a family that was all about community service, uplifting
beautiful.
and empowering. And once I learned a little bit more about the sorority and the history, this is where I belong.
That's beautiful.
Real quick, could you name some like notable names from your sorority?
Fannie Lou Hamer.
Okay, Fannie Lou Hamer. We got some.
Had to definitely start there. Civil rights activist. Of course, that's one of my biggest idols.
Okay,
one of my biggest idols. And I can name some famous sorority sisters, but again,
the ones
that I resonate with
the ones that really matter to me.
Maria Green. She was my music teacher in Inglewood. All I saw her do was give to the children, give to the community, whatever she can do. And it's interesting because she was my elementary school teacher, and when I decided to be a Delta, in order to be a Delta, you do have to have someone vouch for you.
Yes, correct.
You do have to have certain criteria, certain letters of recommendation. So I went back to her, of course, and got my letter. So it was a moment. It was a touching moment for us to come back together and realize.
Full circle thing. That's like, hey,
and
20 years later, I'm
as
here
an
again.
adult, you don't realize, because I was a young adult, you don't realize who touched your life.
And you don't realize that until later on in life.
Until later on.
I owe a couple of my teachers some letters. At least some flowers or something. Shout out to Mr. Sherbine.
Mr. Sherbine.
That's my guy.
And that touches to your character, the fact that she was willing to vouch for you while you were there as a student. So that touches your character.
Later on in life. So I actually made a mark in her life as a kid for her, because you're not going to write anyone's letter.
Yeah.
She has
hundreds of students.
I'm not writing anybody's letter. I have to know that you're going to represent the sorority, you're going to be a community servant, and before I would even consider writing someone's letter. So I understand it now.
Yeah, now you're on the other side of it.
Her writing my letter.
It's funny because I'm a Kappa, and a lot of people don't know that. But real quick, how I wanted to be in the Kappas is I went down to the University of Miami on a visit to the school, and one of my mother's coworkers pledged down there. Okay. And we didn't know anybody. He made one phone call. They picked us up from the airport, took us around. Mind you, I'm 15 at the time. Took us out. I went to a step show. They took us around all Miami. Is there any place you want to see?
That is a lasting impression.
I literally didn't get back in the room till like 5 in the morning. Mind you, this is a 15-year-old in Miami with the Kappas, and my mom's like, "Wow, like
they made sure to take care of you.
The love, the way, like just
you could have been there lost, wandering around, just trying to figure it out.
I'm like, yo, the power of that, the power of that, like." One phone call we were taken care of. No questions asked. Yeah. If they were like, if you're cool with him, then you're cool with me.
Yeah, that says a lot. Divine Nine has definitely
I was like, wow, the impact is crazy.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about Greek life. I noticed that early because my brother had a pledge too. He's LUL, Lambda Upsilon Lambda.
Yeah.
I believe it's like a Spanish fraternity, but majority Spanish. But and I saw their camaraderie and the network, and it was some similar situation. We were in downtown Chicago one time and during a road trip, and I was like 16. My brother was like 20. His best friend was like 21. We're in downtown Chicago, and he told me he had reached out to some dude on Facebook that was just apparently his brother.
Right.
Didn't really know him though.
Exactly.
And he just told him like, hey, we're gonna be in Chicago, and the dude was like, yo, put your colors on, meet me at the train station at this time. I'm like, this sounds like some movie stuff. Yeah, sure enough, my brother sees him coming down with his varsity jacket on. My brother comes out with his sweater on. They come up, oh, bro.
Like they know
do some weird handshake on the low, and they took us in. He got us pizza. We went to a couple like different little lounges and stuff. They did everything. They did everything for us. They made sure we were good. They put us in a better hotel because they were like, this is in a good area.
Wow.
Go to this one, like stuff like that. So it was dope to see that camaraderie and that network.
Camaraderie. Wow.
It is.
I'm glad you found that in the Delta. Seriously.
Yes. Yes, I definitely did.
So touching on getting into a sorority and writing people's letters and all that, like I love how they have such a strong criteria. Like not just anybody can get into this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not like most other groups where we just share a similar point of view. So let's make this a group and let's start making music or something. It's not that.
No, you actually you actually have to prove yourself.
Right.
You have to prove yourself. Of course it's your application and all the logistics that go with it. But at the same token, there's an interview. There's a process.
Yeah, and you had they make sure they test you so that they know that you're passionate about this.
Yeah.
You're not just doing a sign up. Like you really want this.
No. It's a vetting process.
It's a vetting process, and it's not just an accolade behind your name.
Yes.
So speak on how that's helped you and how college had helped you in what you got going on now, and how it led you in or how networking through Doesn't Matter helped you get to where you are now.
Okay, so a lot of people, what's so funny? When I graduated Stockton, and I got my first job at Ernst & Young as an accountant, of course.
Nice.
That's crazy. My brother's friend worked for Ernst & Young.
Ernst & Young. That's a great firm. Wow.
I gotta meet your brother.
Yeah, definitely. He's from Teaneck. He graduated in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I went straight to Ernst & Young when I graduated.
In the city?
I was working in Lyndhurst. So they had a location in Lyndhurst, and I was working there. It was called the Big Six. So now I think they're Big Five. Maybe it's Big Four now.
It's Big Four. I think it's Big Four.
Yeah, they've already merged.
I think it's Big Four now. Everyone doesn't know it's Big Four accounting firms.
Oh,
it used to be six, like Price Waterhouse. But they started merging. So it's Cooper and Price started merging together.
Just how they did with cell phone.
Right.
T-Mobile,
Boost, and everybody else. Metro PCS. They're all the same thing now.
The same thing.
So it used to be Big Six way back when. So now it's Big Four. So I first got my job, and people would say to me, "What are you walking around with those letters for? That was college. That's over with." And sometimes I would travel with them because I was doing auditing for Blue Cross Blue Shield with them. And they were like, why do you still have that book bag? Isn't that college days? That's so over. And I said, no, actually the work begins after college.
Yeah, and that's what people don't realize. Yes, that's a big gem.
That's the gem.
After college.
That's a big gem.
And that's when you really want to get involved in your community and part of your sorority and just be out there. That's what they call out.
Right.
Being out. Yeah.
Right. So going for council and the position, what exactly is the position you're running for entail?
Town council. And
what does that entail? Like what kind of what does that exactly mean? What are you doing?
It's a governance for the town.
Okay.
You're helping make policies, implement policies, resolutions, ordinance, and you have a table on the dais, and it's about votes. Mm-hmm. It's about having the majority of votes.
Right.
And that's the thing about town council. It gets complicated because, again, I'm running for town council, but I'm also running with three other
women.
Fabulous women. And
big shout out to the ladies.
Yes, we're trying to have a majority because on the council we've had minorities on the council, but again, you can't necessarily get things done, and you see within your community and even within your job, sometimes things just can't get done when there's a voice of one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
We've had minorities in council, and it just makes it hard to get things across. And I'm not saying that I'm only for the minorities,
Absolutely.
But of course, our voice needs to be heard.
Especially in a town that's high percentage minorities.
Right.
We need that representation. And
We need
representation.
Not for nothing too. You're actually a double minority when you think about it, because not only are you minority when we talk about race, but also you're a woman, which is already another
hurdle that you have to jump through.
It definitely is.
But you can touch on what do you think are the pros and cons of being a double minority in something like what you got going on?
Well, basically, some of what I said. I think first off, outside of being a minority, I think it's difficult that people view me or view other minorities as looking only out for minorities.
Yes, that's big.
That's big.
And it makes it hard because when you want to get your message across, sometimes they're only looking at it as, well, she only represents the minorities.
Yes.
And I don't want you to look at my message like that.
Right.
Because minorities do need a voice, and I do represent, and I would love to represent the entire Teaneck. However, I have to speak about my experience.
100%.
I have to speak about what I know. I have to speak about what I can help with.
Yeah.
I'm not going to discredit any parts of Teaneck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, as you can see on my social media, and that just started.
Right.
Yeah.
Before social media,
you were still in the trenches.
I'm in the trenches. A lot of residents know me.
Yeah.
I started out doing volunteering, like I said, with Boys and Girls Clubs. I started out with my sorority. I started out with PTO Council and PTOs and working with the athletes. I've been the president of the basketball team, our track and field team, our cross country team.
All these accolades.
I'm about engaging. So before social media and before running for council, that's what I do.
You were already doing
and I'm going to do that after.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do that regardless. So that's what I do. But to start off, that would be one of the major hurdles I would think of getting the masses to listen to what I got to say. Because I don't want people to feel like, well, she's only talking about minorities. She only cares about minorities. And that's not true. I do care about other races and other, I'm not just here to speak on women's behalf, but I am here to speak on women.
Yes, yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not only here to speak on the Black experience, but I am
speaking.
Here.
Yes.
But we're going to get this.
Don't get it twisted now.
Right. So, I think that is the biggest hurdle. Other than that, we all have similar issues. We all have similar wants that we want for Teaneck. Yeah. You know, we all want to live in a place that is safe. Yes. We all want to live in a place that is clean. We all want to where we respect each other. We respect each other's views, religions, whatever the case may be. So I am all for that. However, you going to hear.
Of course.
Don't get twisted now.
Yeah. Of course.
Absolutely.
So, as far as, is there anything that you would like to implement on the
anything
council?
Specific?
Anything specific to you,
Absolutely.
or anything that you were, thinking about?
Things that are that hit home, being a woman and being a minority. It's very important that all of our boards are represented. And when I say boards, we have 13 statutory and advisory boards in Teaneck, and there are somewhat elected positions. And when I say elected, they're not elected by the residents; they're elected by the council.
That's when things get tricky.
So if our
it's not
council,
very democratic.
right. So if our council is not diverse, you may not get a diverse board. So if we have 13 boards, we want them to be diverse. These are our land and use boards. These are people that make decisions, and they advise the council. They advise the council. So if we don't have an ear in every part of Teaneck, and we don't have a voice in every area of Teaneck, you may not get that view that says, Tryon Park needs some upgrading. You may not get that
I
voice.
swear, I didn't want to mention because I didn't want to like I was shouting. I mean, like I was like trying to say anything bad about it. But I was like, I just went to that park like 2 days ago with my son, and I saw that on I'm like, why is this so dirty? I'm like, this is crazy.
I live in Tryon Park. Well, I live on Irvington Road, but my daughter she plays basketball.
Your neighbors are on mine. Your neighbors are on mine. I live right on Van Cortlandt. That's crazy.
Awesome.
I'll be linked.
Yeah. Right on Van Cortlandt and Van Arsdale. So we're like 2 blocks away.
Wait, so when you were growing up, everybody called that the black side, right?
Yep. we talked about that last episode. Like, the white side and the black side. Right. And you can see it. you can see it.
So I'm trying to change that. I mean, the children still say that to this day.
That's crazy.
I was the president of the PTSO of Teaneck High School for the past 8 years. Yeah. So the children still say that. They still call it the black door. They still
the black door and the white doors?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Wow. And I'm trying
10 years later for me.
And it's okay. It's okay. It's not a bad thing, but I just want them to understand that there's more out there, and we need to engage our children into realizing there's more out there besides the black side and the black door. And if we get them engaged, they're children. They open up to just about anything.
No, for sure.
What were we talking about? Because you know me, I'll go off on a tangent.
Nah, me too. That's why I be having to slow myself down. Look, I got come on.
I asked Ed what you wanted to implement.
Absolutely. So I want to make sure that all areas of Teaneck is being benefited.
Yeah, and so see, it's so important for people to understand the difference, because when people think about leadership and voting, they just think president. Nobody's thinking about their local leaders inside their town.
And this is the most important.
Exactly, because those are people going to make decisions that directly affect you, because you live in your everyday life, and your kids, they live in these areas.
And council speaks to your assembly, speaks to your congressman, and council is your liaison to actually get to the president.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's not a direct connection. It's not a direct connection.
It's 20 people in London, but
it's a better connection than you trying to get things through House and through our different legislative branches.
And that's what we were discussing before, is that especially people in our communities, we don't normally pay attention to what's going on locally. You know, we don't know we don't know who's currently on our board, our current representatives or people who are running. And
when you say we, make it specific. Minorities aren't paying attention to any of those local leaders, because trust and believe, the majority, they're coming out. They vote.
They know, and
they know who they're voting for and everything.
And they know.
But the majority of the minorities, we don't know. I'm gonna tell you one thing. Interesting thing happened to me. I was knocking on doors yesterday. Up and down Irvington Road. after I was doing some other stuff. Right. And I said, you know what, let me just hit Irvington Road again, make sure all my neighbors know me, because that's very important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just so busy helping the community, your actual neighbors don't know you.
Right.
So I said, no, let me knock on the doors, let me make sure my neighbors know me.
Presence.
And I knocked on the door, and one of my neighbors had the lawn sign of someone else on the lawn sign, further up, not my direct neighbor.
Also would have been a problem.
Yeah, a little further up. And I just knocked on the door to introduce myself, and I said, hey, I'm 2 blocks down. I'm still on your street, but I'm your neighbor. I'm out here. I walk my dog. You've probably seen me. And I just told her a little bit about myself. And she says, I have the wrong lawn sign on my lawn, don't I? And I said, I'm not going to say that. I said, but how'd you get that lawn sign? And she said to me, and this is very important, she said to me, I don't know. She said, I got a text message. I don't even know this person. The name was familiar, and I said yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She didn't know the views. She didn't know the policies. She didn't know the things that this potential candidate stood for. And after I finished talking, she says, well, do you have a lawn sign? And she says, can I put your lawn sign out? And she says, can you take that one down? And I said, I can't. I said, I cannot touch another candidate's lawn sign. I said, what you can do is you can take it down and you can put mine up. And so we both walked outside, and she took it down and she put my lawn sign up. But I say that to say is, when I was younger, and I was all about voting, because everyone said, vote, make sure you vote. And I voted, and as soon as the name looked familiar, and I remember.
Yeah.
I remember, and it said Hogan, and I said, oh, I know that name. Didn't know anything about Hogan, but I said I'm voting for Hogan because I knew the name.
That's the familiarity, the way marketing works.
It's At that young age, I didn't know what he stood for. I didn't know his policies.
You didn't really care.
And I didn't care. The name was familiar. So this is important to really engage with residents, because we are voting on familiarity. We are voting on namesake, and we're not digging down into the issues.
Doing the issues and doing the research.
Important. So people ask me, how do you keep going? Why are you all over the place? I said, because it's important that people know the issues, and they know, who they're actually voting for, and it's not just a namesake. It's really policies and implementation.
And that you're personable, you have a presence. They've seen you. All of a sudden, it's a whole different field.
It's a different...
They can put a face to the name and everything.
Right. So that's my main thing, engaging the residents. So as far as implementation, yes, I want to make sure that all of Teaneck gets represented. Yes, I want to make sure all of our parks, because we have a lot of dilapidated parks.
Yes.
A lot. We have more than just Votee Park.
Yeah.
Votee Park is beautiful. The grandiose is going on now. We have a sportsplex, but there's so many other parks and so many other areas of Teaneck that needs, especially our Southwest. Our Southwest down by Dairy Queen. It's almost a forgotten area. I was knocking on doors down in that area.
Yeah, that is a forgotten area.
I had a clipboard.
That's in Richfield Park.
Yeah,
that is.
And people think it's Richfield Park. They think it's Pagoda. And I have my clipboard. I have my notes, and I'm taking notes. And I was walking around, and the residents was a little leery, and they said, what's going on? Why are you in our area?
Like, what's going on?
And I said, well, I'm running for council, and I'm trying to get an understanding of, why do you feel disenfranchised? How do we get you engaged? What are your issues? And they're like, well, I don't even know what to tell you. I don't even know where to begin. No one talks to us. If the police is in this area, we wonder if they're lost. We stop them and tell them Richfield Park is here, Pagoda is here. We stop them to tell them that they're lost. No one goes in that area.
Wow.
So, and I find that as a big problem.
I think you guys were having a Hispanic Heritage little block party in that area.
We
wasn't
did. We did.
I saw that on your Instagram.
It wasn't heavily attended.
Right.
That's going to change.
Yeah, of course,
that's definitely going to change. That was the first of our celebrations, and we're definitely going to do more. We're definitely going to engage the residents. It's very important that we do that. I'm working on my Espanol.
It's going.
Un poquito.
That always works. So once you get elected as council, because I'm manifesting this for you, because you're going to win, and let's make that let everybody know. It's November 8th.
November 8th is election day.
November 8th. It's also Kamal's birthday, by the way.
Yes, I put that down. Oh my God, that's actually on my calendar.
That's what's up. But so November 8th is the actual election day, and for people who don't know, you can vote pretty much at every school.
Well, you vote based on your district.
Okay.
So residents should know what district they belong to.
Okay.
I don't know every district offhand where the streets are, but you can definitely log in and put in, what district. Go into Teaneck website. They have all the voting polls. So, and when you get your information in the mail, it also says your district on there.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar with your district, there's ways that residents can reach out to the council, reach out to the town website and get their district. So they vote at their local district.
Right.
There's early voting, so early voting is at the Rota Center.
Oh, okay. There's a Rota Center.
So you can vote early. There's mailing ballot voting. So we are making sure the deadline for voter registration is October 18th. So we're making sure that those that are not registered, make sure you do get registered for your friends, family members. That's a big thing. So it's not just in Teaneck. We want to make sure that we get all of our voters registered because it's really an important thing. Let residents know that their vote counts.
Yeah, and that's all across America in every really community.
It's not just a president election.
Yes, I love the emphasize that.
Local elections are very important because that's where your local issues.
Right.
Our president is not looking at our roads,
our
infrastructure,
he doesn't have
the
time
buildings, the development that's coming up in Teaneck. The president doesn't know.
I compared it almost to like a football team, like how there's a head coach, and it's like the head coach is just one guy who oversees everything, but then there's an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, quarterback coach, wide receivers coach, right, position coaches, and there's trainers, and there's doctors. Like it all needs to come together to create this ecosystem that works.
Exactly.
And that's the only way we're going to make it work for us is if we put us into office.
Right.
And the parallel what you were just saying, like if I had any problems, I would talk to my position coach first, and they would bring it to the head coach.
Right.
So
you got the liaison
me
to the
going
head coach.
straight to the head coach. They have so much to think about.
Yeah.
So I talk to my position coach,
and
they position themselves for me. They advocate for me through the head coach.
Exactly.
So it's the same type of thing.
So let's talk long term. Okay. So where do you see yourself after? What's the next step after you get elected council?
A lot of work.
right. That's when the work begins. Once you get elected, when the work begins. That's true.
So hopefully the four of us, again, we're Rise for Teaneck.
And what exactly does that stand for? Rise, I see it's an acronym.
Responsible, inclusive, strategic, and engaging. It actually represents each of us.
Okay.
Each of us picked a letter.
Oh, I like that.
Each of us picked a letter, and I'm going to just focus on my letter. My letter is engaging.
I can see that.
My letter is engaging.
And that's why.
And I engage the residents, and that's my way of getting them to care. Just care a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more, and a little bit more. And I've found over the years that actually works for me. Because when my peers or my friends, they see me out there, they see me constantly going, and they're like, well, I can't go to that town council meeting, or I can't go to that advisory board meeting. But I know Chandra's going to go, and I know she's going to come back and tell me what happened, and she's going to tell me where I can read the minutes at, and she's going to tell me. So it's not necessarily, I'm not dragging them out, but I am dragging them out to a sense where they feel confident that I'm going to bring them back some facts, not going to be one-sided. It's going to be some facts, and it's going to be some direction on how they can do a little bit more to get engaged. So that's my main thing, getting us elected, getting the four of us elected, and then implementing some policies where the town can feel like they are engaged, making sure the statutory boards show diversity, making sure that I'm an accountant. Yeah. Remember I said I was an artist, but I'm an accountant. So I'm a financial compliance analyst for a real estate investment company. I know you do real estate. And I got my real estate license, and that was one of my side hustles at the time.
Yeah, you got so many.
Oh my God.
You
I
do
also
everything.
got my teacher's license.
I was going to say, you taught in Hackensack High.
I taught in Hackensack High School.
You taught math in Hackensack High.
I taught calculus and geometry up there.
Sheesh, calculus. All right, she's smart.
I loved it. I loved it.
No, I love numbers too, so I understand. Like I think in numbers. I say sometimes, but like numbers to me is like a language sometimes.
You really good. You always
like I just like to break things down to numbers. I think numerically it makes it like it makes it a fact. Once you make it to numbers,
very analytical.
I'm very analytical.
Yeah, and I go
sometimes too much.
Yeah, me too. Right. Me too. I like to take my chances with things, but I like to calculate like what are the odds of this, and then I'll break it down to a percentage, and then all right, this makes sense.
Just a side note: that whole time I was in Atlantic City, I did not hit the casinos as an accountant.
Man, you already know.
You don't spend your money.
No.
That's a wrap.
That's like a taboo.
No, for sure.
I invest, but I don't gamble.
Yeah, not that kind. Right, not that kind of gamble. I'll take a risk with this real estate.
Yeah, but no, I from there I did real estate, I did teaching, and I did a little bit of everything. But I always went back to accounting because that's where my money was.
Yeah. That's the first time I heard you say anything about money. Because one thing that was standing out to me is everything you were saying. It was philanthropic. Where like you were just doing things for working for kids, working as the the president of the basketball team, like that's not something that comes with monetary gain. Like that's something that you genuinely you love to do, you want to do, and like you said, you have 2 daughters that went to Teaneck.
And they're no longer here.
Exactly, they're not even right, and you're still doing it. That's really a testament to who you truly are, though.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
I wonder if the track team gonna kick me out. I wonder if the basketball team gonna kick me out.
They're not even there. Oh man, yeah. That's great,
But they
man.
still welcome me. I'm not overbearing. I play my part. I sit back. Whatever they need me, I told the parents, whatever you need from me, I'm there to do.
So do you plan to stay rooted in Teaneck, or do you want to like venture off and maybe end up in Washington sometime?
No, I'm gonna be here in Teaneck.
You gonna stay in Teaneck?
I'm gonna be here in Teaneck.
Dedicated to the community.
That's important. Yesterday, I actually did a tour of the high school facilities with our current coach, Harold Clark.
Yeah. Shout out to Coach Clark.
And I did a tour, and this is more like Board of Ed stuff, but I still did a tour just to get an understanding of what's going on because, again, I work with the children in the high school, and sometimes being so close with working with the children and working with administration, sometimes you still don't see everything.
Yeah. Right.
You don't see everything. So I did not realize, and many times I've been in that gym for volleyball, basketball. I didn't realize our facilities and our outside facilities. I knew our track needed work, but some things I didn't realize. So I'm going to stay rooted here in Teaneck. Just like as far as real estate, if you're in real estate or if you're in contracting, that's a job that never goes away because you sell the same house a million times. You work on the same house a million times. As a community servant, you do the same community service a million times. So today, things may be great. We may get a grant and it may help the pre-K program, and 3 years from now,
we're going to need that again.
We may need it again. Wow. We may need someone to advocate for that. So it's important that we have people that stay in the community that keep advocating and because if we don't, it drops off. Yeah. Because that's one thing I was talking to Coach Harold about. I said, where's all the football guys? Where's our NFL players? Where's, the ones that actually, they got a little bit of money that can help us with the facilities and with the field and things like that. And he says, sometimes they move, they go away. And we have to realize that we have to come back.
Yes. Yeah.
If we don't come back, if we don't stay, or if we don't reach back, we're banking on new residents to kind of pick up,
care
about something that
they're just getting to.
They just
got there.
Yeah.
Right,
they just got there. That's not their first priority. They may have gotten there with their young children, and their first priority is the parks, or their first priority may be the school system, or their
first priority might just be trying to survive. Paying his mortgage and taking care of his kids. Right. Most people don't have that opportunity to even care about that. Right. Let's talk about that. But man, we want to say thank you, man, because it's very clear that you're super dedicated and you're planning on staying in Teaneck. Hearing that is like, wow, like I know we're in good hands when we elect you as council. So
and a lot of people would have said, no, I want I'm become president one day.
All the money that could be your passion, but I feel like your passion is more about the community that you came from.
And my thing is also building leaders. It's really important. I was a Girl Scout troop leader. I was a Girl Scout. I was a Brownie.
She's everything.
Yeah, I've noticed.
And so I was a Girl Scout troop leader. I had 21, it was 23, but then dropped down. But we had 21 girls that were committed for, I'd say, about 7-8 years. Committed to Girl Scouts. They would come to every meeting, and it was very important to me to raise leaders because I know I can't do everything. Absolutely. And that's really important for me. I noticed sometimes our leaders don't reach back and create more leaders, and so people are constantly looking around, and they're like, well, where's, who's running? Who's going to run for council? Who's going to run for Board of Ed? I say that's your fault.
Yeah. Yes. A great leader creates leaders.
A great leader creates leaders.
Damn, and I think that's a perfect way.
Like it's not about me to excel if I don't bring someone up, if I don't encourage. And that's something that is very important to me. My Girl Scouts, they're doing wonderful things right now. They're about the age of 22, so they graduate in college. Yeah. They're all ready. Yeah, they're all ready to become leaders in the town
and come back to the community.
And that's important to me.
And the fact, and it also, when you do stuff the way you're doing it, it also trickles down. You impact them so much, they might turn around and impact the youth And then
that's the key.
Each one teach one.
Each one teach one.
That's the key.
And listen, I hate the fact that we got to wrap up just because it's almost. Yeah, I know. I wanted to keep talking, but I know time wise, and I heard Marv say something in the back. I'm like, I don't want to wrap up. But I just want to say thank you so much, man. You educated the people a lot on everything that's going on and how important what you got.
Okay, can I say one?
Of course.
One more pitch.
Please.
One more pitch for my girls and I. We are Rise. We're running for town council. The election is November 8th. Vote column 2. That would be G, Belcher, Goldberg, and Young.
Yes. And listen. I just want to say once again, thank you. And
thank
listen,
you so much.
Important. Early voting is up now. Find out what district you're from. November 8th is going down. Listen, we look forward to congratulating on you all on your win. And I just want to say thanks again. And we appreciate you.
And everybody, this is a testament. Even if you don't live in the township of Teaneck, what you need to do is go to your local community and do research on the candidates in your local communities, Absolutely. How you can get involved. Even if you're not directly involved in council, maybe you can back a leader who something that you're very passionate about, or just get involved. Basically, this is really just get involved locally. Get involved. If you really want to see changes, if you really want to make changes, it's time to get involved locally.
Yes.
Don't just wait every 4 years for the presidential election.
Yes, listen, that's a great message. So hopefully everybody walked away with something, everybody learned something, because I learned a lot just now.
Yeah, I learned so much. Yes.
So like I said, thank you so much, Chondra Young.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do this again, especially post-win.
Once you're on council,
we're gonna definitely touch base and get an update for everybody looking in. But we just want to say thank you again for the Free Gen podcast. We deeply appreciate you.
Absolutely.
We just want to say thank you,
very humble.
Everybody listening too.
Very humble.
Appreciate everybody, man. Thank you. This has been Free Gen's podcast, episode 30, and we
are out of here.
Gone.
November 8th. Don't forget it.